mean, every role inherently requires something else, right? It's a different exploration thematically. It's a different exploration with regard to the cast and crew. But at root and core is, I think it's deep reverence for everything that you do. You're here to communicate the value and truth of a story, the value and truth of your character, of a life, right? Like it's not just character if you're digging in a certain kind of way, right? And that holds true for me. The weight of being the most authentic and truthful in any kind of rendering.
Hello, my name is Jacqueline Coley, and it is my pleasure to moderate this intimate conversation with SAG nominated supporting actress Danielle Deadwyler. Danielle, thank you for being here.
Hey there. Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to continue the incredible conversations that I've had with you about what you brought to the screen in the piano lesson. So, before we get into your incredible performance as Bernice, I would like you to talk a little bit about how the project came to you. Because for folks that don't know, this was a stage play that most of your principal cast participated in the Broadway production. But then when they decided to bring the production to the screen, they said, now we need to get Danielle Deadwyler. So yeah, talk about that whole journey.
It's not a huge journey. It's hey, team gives a call and they say, "Do you want to do piano lesson?" And you say, "Yes, the heck I do." It was cool to jump into the role and to it's like it's weird doing a play that is there and adapted. Not weird. It's delightful to do something that has this weight in a different medium. That's what
Hmm.
it is. And I just completely just fell into it. I had a conversation with Malcolm, our director. We talked about everything from just books and music and spirituality and all of these things that allowed us to coalesce together as to, just people as artists. And we really linked and synced in that way. And then that grew into the beauty of the connectivity of the play and just working with all the guys. And it was just a really like kismet kind of a blossoming. And I feel super, super lucky to have been able to have the experience and to grow a new family and relationship dynamic that is filling in all of these ways.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say family, because I'm sure, like a theater company, it feels that way. But in this one, you literally were with family. I mean, Kathy was, was the producer on it. Malcolm is the director. You have John David Washington, his brother, starring in it, and it's all produced quite literally by the Washingtons, Pauletta and Denzel being the caretakers of August Wilson's legacy. But what was that like as an
And
actor?
Olivia
And sorry, I forgot. Don't want to
like
forget
the
Olivia. Thank
squad
you.
in its entirety.
No, no, excuse me. Thank you. Want to correct the record. Want to make sure we get all of the several Washingtons on here. But what was that like stepping on to set with that? In addition to what you were doing on the screen, that I think probably, I don't know, it probably added a bit of safety, but also a bit of pressure for what you had to bring to it.
No pressure. Uh,
Mm.
you have a pressure already in that you have a reverence for the work, right? For the history and the legacy of August Wilson's um, you know, pantheon of Black cultural making and knowledge. And that's just a cushion, right? In order to and it's a confidence building in that you're being asked to take on this role, to take on this task. So all of that comes together to push you to do what you have to do. I'm like over preparing because I'm coming into the space, and most of the guys already have a knowledge and a sinking that has occurred. This is a new thing for all of us in that I am coming in fresh. Corey's coming in fresh. Skylar's coming in fresh. So something new is inherently going to develop and be born, but we we are given confidence in that you are being asked to do what you do. And so that's, I mean, Denzel has told stories about not even, being like after the first 2 weeks, being like, oh, okay, I think they got it. Let me get out of here. You know what I mean? And that even more propels you to know, keep doing this thing, keep emboldening, yourself and with the talents you have been prescribed with in the making of this family endeavor, this kind of Black cultural family endeavor. And that's just, I know it for so long. I have been endowed with the spirit of my theater mentors and OGs who I've witnessed do it for so long since I was a child, at least in middle school, and seeing it be done over and over and over again, seeing all of the variety of the plays, not just piano lesson. And so you take all of that kind of intuitive, familial, my Atlanta cultural, theatrical, artistic roots, and all of that comes together, and then the love of the family, of the literal family of the Washingtons, and the love of the film family that is created in order to make this beautiful thing come to life.
Mm. And I love that you say that. I mean, when you talk about Denzel, there's a quote that I've heard him say. I don't know if it's originated with him, but he often says it. Theater makes you good.
Mm-hmm.
TV can make you rich. Movies make you famous, but you got to be an actor through all of them. And the only reason why I say this is because
Something to that effect.
listen, that's what he said. But you are a theater actor, and I want to stress
Yeah.
that too, because I feel like particularly with theater actors, their preparation is oftentimes more biblical, more origin, more like if it's
Biblical, you better hit it.
you know what I mean? Like, I really do. Like, I've talked to some theater actors who would feel like a failure, not from any aspect of any measurable success outside of they didn't feel prepared. And that is a very different than your average television and film actor who'll be like, oh, it made this box office. We got this. So, what is it about your prep that you carry over through all of these various projects that you've done, whether it be television, screen, or stage? Does it stay the same throughout, or do you apply different preparation for each role?
I mean, every role inherently requires something else, right? It's a different exploration thematically. It's a different exploration with regard to the cast and crew. But at root and core is, I think it's deep reverence for everything that you do. You're here to communicate the value and truth of a story, the value and truth of your character, of a life, right? Like it's not just character if you're digging in a certain kind of way, right? Um, and and that holds true for me. The weight of being the most authentic and truthful in any kind of rendering,
Mm.
whether it's performance art or visual art or any of that. That's what is being tasked and asked of you in that kind of an endeavor. So it's a weird weight and buoyancy that can take place in that kind of reckoning.
One of the things I think is
And
interesting about
audiences know, right? In communication with the audience. It's not just audience. Like they're a part of, we're all in this this cycle together of communicating something, and then this thing is being given back, this communication and then giving back. It's not just people aren't just trash receptacles taking something in. And so with that understanding, I have a responsibility to be truthful in what I am disseminating. And if you're receiving it, you have to be truthful in whether you are wounded or opened, your wound is opened as a result of it.
mm, that's so powerful. And I love that you're talking about it's a conversation between the artist and the audience. And I love that you put that at the heart of your prep and what you execute. And you can see that in the work. Kind of at the heart of the piano lesson is also a conversation
Mhm.
between these two family members about what to do with this piano that is, yes, built in our legacy, but can also be a seed to maybe plant to a new legacy going forward. And you're sort of like diametrically opposed to Brother Willie, who is trying to say, no, we need this to sell it. we need to sell this for this money. And you're saying, no, this is the blood of our family. There is no amount of money that it can be sold. And that is kind of the crux of what is happening in the story. But I'm curious for you, what was at the truth of Bernice as a character? What was at the heart of her after you did your thorough research and explanation that you wanted to make sure the audience understood while they were sort of going through this meditation about family?
Yeah. I find, I mean, if I guess if you're doing it right, you're still finding stuff days, months, years after the fact, right? But I think that it's a spiritual search. It's a spiritual mining um, that Bernice is undertaking, which is self-discovery at the end of the day. Um, she is awakened or is having awakening conversations with her brother about what is valuable to her, about grief, about what do you truly fight for. She is having conversations with, men in her life who are coming from, spaces of origin that are like hers. And they are challenging her on what it means to be a woman, what it means to be sexual, what it means to be to have an engagement with God, to have an engagement with ancestry, to have an engagement with family, to have an engagement with the world outside of their home, with memory, with history. All of that comes back to who do you want to be, and how do you want to be in the world, and are you expressing it fully? Uh, and that's what's at the crux for her. I think what's at the crux for a lot of people is, if we but get to it, how is our path unique to getting to who we are at our root. Um, and those things are pivotal. The people that Bernice is encountering are pivotal in her erotic growth, her spiritual growth, and her self-definition through ancestry.
There's something really powerful about Bernice as a woman, probably maybe for the first time, expressing her desire, both the physical desires and then the more spiritual and aspirational ones. And I think there's also something very powerful for seeing a story about that with Black women who are often in both media and in real life sacrificing, self-sacrificing, taking care of everyone around them. And
Mhm.
so it is interesting, I think, with the character Bernice, seeing her be so adamant about, like, no, this is what I want, this is what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to let anybody, whether it be a man trying to marry me or my brother trying to tell me what I do. I'm
Mhm.
curious for you how that was for you to kind of explore as an actor on screen, if you've kind of been able to play characters like Bernice before, or if she felt a little bit different than what you'd been able to do in the past as a Black actress on screen. Because I feel, especially with August Wilson, and a lot of Black actors have said this, he gives dimensionality to characters that others could not imagine.
Yeah, it's on a whole nother level. He on some other stuff. Yeah, but I think it's all rooted in this love that he has for his mother. And has, right? Like I think August is very clear that we are in an ongoing life cycle, a continuous conversation. This is um, death is not the end for us, right? Um, and he has such a love for his mother and a desire to um, honor, respect, give pride to her, and so that is what's being poured into the multidimensionality of who Bernice is. And yet, I think I have had the ability to explore these things in other characters, but Bernice is so full and is so charged that the exploration is completely different than anything else. There's a different experience, from a historical understanding. I've had this opportunity to think about women who are self-sacrificing, not just to or to family, to society and work and all this kind of stuff that's happening from scratch, or thinking about Till, like all of these roles are linked to that experience. But Bernice is just um another level of the archetype, like striving to push against what it means to sit in that, or to break out of that. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to talk about Till and From Scratch a little bit, especially considering, you have your category mate, Miss Zoe Saldana, who you
That's
started
my
on.
buddy.
I know it is so great. But I want to talk about one scene in the piano lesson because I think when people may, if they don't know about the film or haven't been familiar with the stage play, one of the things that Malcolm did that was so powerful is he was like, "Yeah, John David, I know you did stunts with Mr. Christopher Nolan, but let me get you on some
I
stunts with."
got something for you.
Yeah, I'm like, I seriously, I got something for you.
And he
Exactly.
liked to fuss about it too. Like, just do the stunts. You're fine. You've done it before.
No, he didn't complain like that with Nolan. And I'm not saying that he was given anything less, but I have seen the brotherly dynamic between the two. And I feel like he may have just whined a little bit more because it was Malcolm making him do it. That's my conjecture. You can plead the fifth. But
I'm gonna tell him that.
you can. You absolutely can. Because
Keep it
it's
anonymous. We're derived.
exactly. But for you, the most powerful scene that you have to be in, again, it's like we know you can bring up the waterworks, ma'am. You're a trained classical actress, but the stillness of the scene where you are at the piano, speaking in tongues and the cinematography and those tears, I just want to know how did y'all do that day? Because first of all, I don't know how many takes you can get out of anybody in that moment. Like that seems torturous to be like, okay, yes, ma'am, do it again. Like that, you probably only had a few takes. So walk us through how Malcolm set up that day, how you got in that place, and then could consistently deliver it because it's a very technical scene too, to get all that lighting, to get the flames, to get the background behind you.
It's a multi-day
Wow.
dive. I think I remember at least 3 days. I don't remember everything in totality, but I do know that it's bigger than just performance, right? This is Black spirituality. This is the truth of my experience, and knowing that we are having an ongoing conversation with our ancestors, that we are incessantly speaking to them, seeking their guidance. And I think that that weight is always present with me. Um, and present with us all if we but notice it, if we are open to it and clear to it. And so I just enabled myself um to clear those pathways. Um it's a different level of energy when and understanding when the ancestor cast came on a set. It's just you be that much more fueled. You know you're asking, right? But then the visualization and what it really looks like and what Malcolm is communicating in those visuals is just propelled. Everybody has an understanding of the power of what we're asking for in the scene. Um, it's rooted in Christianity. It's rooted in West African spirituality. It's also rooted in some hybridic thing that is kind of unknown. And that's what Bernice is being asked to be a channel, to be a conduit, to open, yourself up to that which you do not see. That's what faith is, right? It's I do not know, it's the Kendrick, SWV song, use your heart, not your eyes. Like, I'm not supposed to know everything. I'm allowing the thing to happen. I'm essentially surrendering. So that is what I gather, what I sought to do, to imbue in those days. And the technicality, Malcolm's like, there's reprieve. You're going to do it over and over again. Everything was done in repetition. I think that's the beauty of theater. That's why, you are strengthened as a result of theater, because you have to pull it every day. If you're doing 8 shows a week or whatever, pull every day. Your muscle is being built to do this. And so you can do it on set 5, 7, 10, whatever they're asking of you. And just you have to know how to take care of your body. I'm of a certain age and rearing where I've come to this space, and you want to repeat, because you're enabled to find change as a result of repetition. You're enabled to find diversity and all the ways of language, literal language and gestural language. You get to just explore when you surrender to the thing. And he saved me a little bit with regard to like other simple shots. I wasn't there for the fire. I don't know. you know,
He took care of you,
he
needless to
did.
say.
He did. He
That's great.
did.
I wanted to take a moment, like I said, and mention this. I love that you and Zoe are on this journey together, especially after From Scratch, which I think you may know, like you have done a ton of things, but is that the one that people talk to you about? Because it was such a hit on Netflix. And I swear it was like the girlfriends sort of like, it was like the Black Girls Eat, Pray, Love. And we just needed it, you know? And I just want to thank you for it. And also say how great is it to be doing this with Zoe?
It's so beautiful. I like the level of hugs that have been given from New York to LA to abroad. Like everything is better with community. Everything is better with family. Everything is better with people you know, who love you and support you. And so it's been great being with her along this way. Uh um the Black Girls Eat, Pray, Love. That's funny. But you know what people do, they it's tiered what they talk about with me. It might be some old school like Tyler Perry. It might be of late Carry On.
Yeah.
Because people
Number
are
one on Netflix, baby
into
girl. Let's say it.
it. But there's a select group of folks who like to be like, I am so mad at you, the way you made me feel in From Scratch. And I'm like, hey, I'm glad you felt. you know,
Like, yeah, I'm a good at my job.
we supposed to do that together. And I think it's one of those feel goods, right? It's also sometimes you just need a good cry, and then that cry boosts you up. It's just a feel good in that you need to utterly release, and then you get to feel like optimistic. You get to be hopeful. And so the restoration of hope is what the story of From Scratch is. Yeah.
Well, I only have time for a couple more questions, maybe just one, but one I want to specifically ask you is what did you get your first SAG card for? And when did
Yeah.
you feel like you made it?
I don't feel like I've made it. There's
That's
never
okay to be said. That's a favorite, that's a common answer, by the way. This is like
because it's the truth. Then you're supposed to constantly dive. You're never like if you're satisfied, what's up with you?
yeah.
Um, um, and I'm pretty sure I got my first SAG card in 2016 on this independent film that never came out.
But you got your card.
I got it.
That's all that mattered. And
I
it was a
got
moment.
it.
Last question, because I don't think folks knew this. I knew this before I first spoke to you for the very first piano lesson, but I don't think folks know this. Girl, this is an educated queen here, 2 master's degrees, it one in writing, and you've already had such this varied career. So I know you're reading these scripts and saying, this is what I want to be a part of, but I'm just curious for you, has the desire to write your own stories, make your own stories, like I just feel like I
Oh.
know we have Woman in the Yard, your very first like big star studio picture coming out this year, but is in the next chapter of Danielle Deadwyler, maybe Danielle Deadwyler, director, writer. Am I wrong?
I don't think you're incorrect at all. I've done a lot of work that's been much more in another realm, more experimental. more performance art oriented stuff. Like I'm playing in all the fields. I want to be in all the sandboxes. I don't think that everything has to be hyper grand, right? I think that some things are supremely intimate. And so I want to, and I think that that's an ability to have a conversation with folks at all kinds of levels. And so more narrative at another level, yeah, I'm just willing to be patient and take the time to get there. But yes, you are right.
All right. Not to say anything like SAG is like, let's she's an actor. Yes, but we are multi hyphenates and our
No, I mean
panel.
the acting is the root. That's like,
Yeah.
dance and theater performance is the core of how I have defined myself as an artist. So
Well, I'm going to
everything.
be on the lookout for that. And I'm so excited for A Woman in the Yard. Thank you so much for your incredible performance in the piano lesson. And thank you for being here.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Jacqueline.